So after watching episode 8 of Berserk, I definitely enjoyed this episode because it was just centered around just basically just fighting. It was centered around some tactical stuff from Griffith's side of things, and this was just an all around just really good episode that I really enjoyed. That I wanted to talk to you all about as far as my review for episode 8 is concerned, guys. So this episode was centered around Griffith and Guts and them preparing to take charge to go and take over and take control of the Black Fortress. And this episode just showed how great Griffith's mind is when it's pertaining to the tactical side of things when it's pertaining to battle. We had which I kept calling him a bum. But the commander, I can't remember his name at the top of my head, but he just kept hyping up the fact that the Black Fortress was just this great, this really great, strong fort, castle. Nobody can get nobody can get in to try to take the castle. The water is so high they would drown and stuff like that from the outside before they even get to the front entrance of the castle. All the men and stuff, all these warriors and stuff like that. All this hype. He just kept kept hyping up the Black Fortress. But there's always a weak point somewhere, and I even mentioned it during my reaction. If you haven't watched it, definitely check it out here on the channel. But I mentioned it in my reaction, like you have to guard every aspect of the place that you're guarding. You definitely need to know what your weak points are and look to do your best to strengthen those weak points. I would say that you can't fully maximize on your strength of strengthening that weak point, but you at least got to know that it's there and it exists. But with Griffith and with Guts and crew really setting up those phases that they were setting up to go in and take control of the Black Fortress, to basically go from the rear, to basically go through the back instead of the front. Even the commander was shocked. Was like, why would they go through the back to get in? Like, duh, dude. Like, get it through your head. Like, like I said, you have to be able to be mindful of every aspect of the place that you are guarding. And of course, he didn't think to protect the back entrance. That's definitely was a weak point because everybody was so focused on, again, the rumors, the talk of the towns and stuff is that the Black Fortress at the front is too strong. Nobody can get in. But of course, nobody was Griffith put it in his mind to say, hey, like, all this talk is at the front. We're gonna come through the back, and it worked out. I mean, it really worked out. They were able to do some phenomenal things to be able to get in. Of course, Guts going in through the back and of course doing his thing and taking out as many men as he could before giving the signal that it was okay for them to attack, and coming in to attack and take over. It was just one of those things, guys, where I was just like, man, just like wow, like, Griffith's that dude, tactical wise, he's just that dude, and Gus is Guts just did his thing, just did the episode for specifically up to this point, when they finally took over, which is really great. So and then of course the bum, the commander, he tucks his tail and runs, even gets on a raft and kicks the men off who were trying to save their life. And he again, being a bum, being the bum that he is, he basically kicked them off the raft, telling them that they're not allowed to join him and stuff like that. And, just runs off, and he gets cussed out by his superior officer and Baskoff, and he tells him to go back and take it over. Otherwise, he's basically kicked out. Basically, that's what he basically was telling him. Like, so, just really, really great episode up to this point. But it's definitely something interesting at the very end of this episode. Definitely caught my attention. Now, towards the end of episode 8, we had this very interesting conversation between Urias, General Urias, and this guy here. I don't remember seeing him in the. I mean, he may have popped up earlier in the show. I can't remember, but he's definitely a character that stands out. He seems to just stand out. You just don't want to trust him. He actually, and I've mentioned this in my reaction to. He reminds me of Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones character, Lord Varys. If you watched Game of Thrones, you know who I'm talking about. So, Yuri is having this conversation with basically Lord Varys from of the show, that they were having an interesting conversation. Now again, this dude he mentions to Urias that his crew were getting replaced, basically, like the because they're guards. So because he, this basically Lord Varys, he's telling them, like, like, it would seem that the king decided to change his guard for this, for this party that's going to be happening. And Urias is like, how are you going to change? This is an important event, an important party. Me and my team, we're the white, I believe the White Knights or White Dragons, whichever the ones, I can't remember off the top of my head. But he was saying, like, the White Knights were always on guard, but he basically said that Griffith and the Hawks have replaced him and his crew, his team, to be the guards during this party, right? And of course Urias gets upset. He grabs him, and he just like, this can't be, this can't happen. And of course Urias is saying, like, even the dude he was even also saying, like, maybe Griffith's could become a general at some point. And Urias is like, he's beneath me. He would never become a general. I won't allow it. But again, key thing to note, which is very, very interesting. Of course, this happens a lot in these type of shows anyway, even back then, that this guy here, this little guy here, he basically puts it out there to say, hey, we know that Griffith is kind of like rising in the ranks. He even got promoted to count now. Specifically, he's now a count. Griffith is a count now, so he got promoted by the king in this episode to be slated as count. Dude basically told him, like, we know that Griffith is rising up in the ranks, but things happen. Accidents tend to happen per a stray arrow, a poisonous arrow at that. Urias sat back and said to him, what are you suggesting? He looked at him again. It was like, Urias, it's a stray arrow that when basically saying, like, if we happen to run into some monsters, even a stray arrow gets past the monsters and hits somebody on accident. And again, he was saying, like, this stray arrow, this poisonous stray arrow, can be very lethal to an ally of the kingdom. And that's when Urias was basically like, oh man, he started stroking his face, his chin, like, you just kind of gave me a great idea. And so now he's given Urias the idea to basically try to take out Griffith in such a way to where something else is supposed to transpire. Because again, this dude here, again, if he popped up earlier in the show, I'll have to go back and look at the first few episodes and see if he probably more than likely has a role to play in possibly, maybe, I even brought this up in my reaction to, possibly maybe causing a coup and taking over the kingdom, taking over the power and taking over the rule of the current king and replacing it with somebody else. to where somebody specifically is ruling the kingdom the way that they want, with tyranny and all of that stuff, like evil power and stuff like that. Where the current king, he is more of a peaceful king, loving king, caring about, his kingdom, caring about the people of the kingdom, while somebody else wants to actually take control and rule in an evilish, devilish way. So, very, very interesting ending to episode 8, guys, that I really, really enjoyed, because now this is literally setting up to prepare to set up some stuff in motion that I know is going to be interesting to watch once I sit down and watch roughly the next, I guess, maybe 6 to 8 episodes to come. So obviously I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching episodes 9 and 10 to come within the next few days coming here. So we'll see what happens. So be on the lookout for my reactions to episode 9 and 10 to come, and my reviews on those episodes. But this is my review for episode 8, guys. What did y'all think of episode 8 when you watched it for the first time? What did y'all think of this review? Let's have a conversation in the comment section if you feel up to it, and I'll talk to y'all next time with more Berserk. Peace, guys.